Hello hockey fans, and welcome back to another video. Being a rookie in the National Hockey League isn't as easy as some might think. Whether you have high expectations to perform straight out of the gate as a top draft pick, you end up bouncing between the bigs and the minors several times as a late round pick, or you start at rock bottom on the depth chart and have to prove you belong as an undrafted free agent, every young adult that steps onto NHL ice has a tough road ahead of them to earn their place in the best league in the world. Just because they have never played in the league before doesn't mean that they can't make a good first impression though. Despite the nerves that come with playing on hockey's biggest stage for the very first time, many rookies are able to rise to the occasion, scoring their first goal, registering their first assist, or recording their first win in the net before the final buzzer sounds on the opening 60 minutes of their NHL career. However, no rookie has ever introduced themselves quite as well as this one. This is the story of Auston Matthews and the 4-goal NHL debut. Before we begin, I just want to mention that almost 80% of you who have watched my videos this month have not subscribed to my channel, so if you do enjoy this video and you want to see more like it in the future, consider hitting that subscribe button. It would really help me out a lot, folks. But anyways, on with the video. In order to tell this record-setting tale, allow me to take you back to June 24th, 2016, when the Toronto Maple Leafs selected American-born forward Auston Matthews with the first overall pick in the 2016 NHL entry draft. Though Matthews was born in Arizona and had spent much of his development in the US, during his draft year, he instead elected to move overseas and join the Zurich Lions of the Swiss National League. This decision was made in order for Matthews to spend a year maturing his overall game against fully grown pro hockey players in one of the stronger hockey nations in the world, rather than dominating the US development program or the Canadian junior system against teenagers. After being taken with the draft's premier pick, Matthews would join the Maple Leafs roster at their preseason training camp for the upcoming 16-17 season. As you might expect, Matthews had already garnered all sorts of hype and expectations from the diehard Toronto fanbase to make an instant impact for the team and help turn the Leafs' fortunes around. These same fans would be delighted to hear then that Matthews would earn a place on the Leafs roster out of camp and that he would be given the chance to live up to their lofty expectations during the team's first game of the regular season. What neither Leafs fans nor anyone else around the league could have predicted though, was that Matthews wasn't just going to live up to the hype, he was about to make history. On October 12, 2016, the Toronto Maple Leafs travelled to the Canadian Tire Centre in Ottawa in order to take on the Senators in their first game of the new season. As the puck was dropped for the opening face-off and the NHL's new year got underway, both sides would spend the first few minutes of the game finding their rhythm. Shots were being blocked, hits were being thrown, and blown whistles were plentiful as the two teams were shaking off their off-season rust and reminding themselves that they weren't just scrimmaging anymore. This was the big time. Then, 8 minutes and 21 seconds into the game, the Leafs' #1 draft pick would introduce himself to the NHL, receiving a pass from Leafs forward Zach Hyman and rifling it past Senators goaltender Craig Anderson as Auston Matthews scored his first NHL goal on his first shot and gave Toronto a 1-0 lead. Welcome to the NHL, kid. A pair of goals by Ottawa, courtesy of Bobby Ryan and Erik Karlsson, at 10:26 and 12:49, would quickly put the hometown side up 2-1, but this lead wouldn't last for long, as just 90 seconds after the Karlsson goal, Matthews stole the puck from the Senators captain and beat Craig Anderson again to give him his second goal of the game and tie the score at 2 apiece. With this 2-2 scoreline holding firm into the first intermission, and with the Leafs star rookie having already scored a pair of goals, Matthews' NHL debut had already been a resounding success. However, the first round pick wasn't quite done yet. Just 85 seconds into the second period, Matthews would take a pass from Leafs defenseman Morgan Rielly and shoot it past Anderson again, scoring his third goal of the game and giving Toronto a 3-2 lead. If scoring a hat-trick in your NHL debut wasn't enough, Matthews was able to do it on the first 3 shots of his NHL career. Not many players can boast a 100% shooting percentage over 20 minutes into their NHL career, you know. A goal by Senators forward Derek Brassard with 2 minutes left to play in the period would tie the game at 3 apiece, but Matthews wasn't about to let the Senators keep the tie score into the second intermission. With 3 seconds remaining in the period, the number 1 pick received a pass from Leafs forward William Nylander and put home his 4th and final goal of the game to give Toronto a 4-3 lead. So almost 40 minutes into his first NHL game, Auston Matthews had already scored 4 different times. That's a goal every 10 minutes of his NHL career. Unfortunately, Matthews' heroics wouldn't be enough to secure the win for Toronto, as Ottawa's Kyle Turris would score the game-tying goal at 6:45 into the third period, before putting the puck past Leafs netminder Frederik Andersen again in overtime to give the Senators a 5-4 victory. So every single goal that the Toronto Maple Leafs scored in their first game of the season was scored by Auston Matthews. No other player on the roster was able to put the puck in the net, just their teenage rookie who had never stepped foot on an NHL rink before that night. Talk about a one-man show. Once the final buzzer sounded and the two teams left the ice, Auston Matthews had finished his NHL debut with 4 goals on 6 shots, a plus-minus of +3, 2 takeaways, and a face-off percentage of 46% in 17 minutes and 37 seconds of ice time. Yeah, I think he had a pretty good game, don't you? The numbers themselves are incredibly impressive to look at, but when you compare it with the other rookie debuts throughout NHL history, Matthews' first NHL game really was unprecedented. Auston Matthews' 4-goal rookie debut would mark the first time since 2005 that a first overall draft pick had scored at least twice in their NHL debut, which was last achieved by none other than Alexander Ovechkin, as well as make him just the 3rd player in NHL history to score a hat-trick in his first NHL game that was also a season opener, the other 2 being Rael Cloutier in 1979 and Derek Stepan in 2010. More importantly though, Auston Matthews set a new league record for the most goals scored by a rookie during their NHL debut in the entire modern era of the NHL. Whilst Joe Malone and Harry Hyland technically still share the record for the most goals ever scored in an NHL debut with 5 during the league's first season in 1917, both Malone and Hyland had already played professional hockey in the National Hockey Association, the predecessor to the NHL, and the league's modern era is said to have begun with the 1943-44 season, almost 3 decades after these two debuted in the league. So Auston Matthews has scored more goals in his NHL debut than anyone else ever has since the league first came into existence a century ago. In the year 2016, Auston Matthews literally made one of, if not the best first impression the league has ever seen. Following his historic debut, Auston Matthews would continue to find twine throughout the remainder of his rookie year, finishing the 16-17 season with 40 goals and 69 points in 82 games, good enough to earn him the 2017 Calder Memorial Trophy for Rookie of the Year. These impressive numbers would also help Matthews set a number of Maple Leafs franchise records and overall NHL league records, such as the most goals by an American-born rookie in NHL history, the youngest player in NHL history to record multiple points in his team's first 5 games of the season, surpassing a record set by none other than Wayne Gretzky, the fastest Maple Leaf to score 25 goals in a season, as well as the most goals and points ever by a Maple Leafs rookie. Matthews, now 22 years old, continues to suit up for Toronto to this day and has firmly established himself as a superstar in the league, scoring 34 goals or more in each of his 4 NHL seasons for a total of 158 goals and 285 points in 282 regular season games. With the NHL's return to play program fast approaching since training camps began earlier this week, and with Matthews coming off his best year yet with 47 goals and 80 points in 70 games, the former first overall pick will no doubt be a huge factor for the Leafs' success moving forwards. He will likely get the opportunity to add to his 13 points in 20 playoff games if the Leafs have a deep playoff push, and maybe he will even help Toronto finally win the Stanley Cup. It's certainly been a long time coming for Leafs fans, that's for sure. Though Toronto weren't able to come away with the win and make his hard work worth it in the end, when Auston Matthews stepped onto the ice of the Canadian Tire Centre in October of 2016, he not only showed Leafs fans everywhere that he was able to surpass their lofty expectations of him, but he would also immediately cement his place in the NHL's history books, setting a record that seems nigh impossible to beat. With how well he has played in the years that have followed, and given the number of records that he has already broken, both league-wide and for the Maple Leafs franchise, I wouldn't be surprised if Matthews finds his name underneath several more before he's done playing. I mean, he's only 4 years into his NHL career. The dude's still got plenty of hockey left to play. There's certainly worse ways to introduce yourself to the league, eh folks? And that's the story of the 4-goal NHL debut. What do you guys think about Auston Matthews' first NHL game or his career as a whole so far? Let me know in the comments below, I would love to hear what you guys think. But thank you very much for watching, guys, I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye! A big thank you to Antti Hannanen, Chris Gadsby, Connor B, John Plomin, Jordan Whitehead, Paul Mallia, Roman from London, The Legacy and Worthless Pieces, as well as a huge thank you to Let's Talk Hockey for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.